Hey, in this lesson, we will learn to write our first processing app. Go ahead and open processing. In processing, we have two key functions. The first function is called setup. Setup tells the app to execute all the code within the handlebar brackets just once when it first loads. Our second function is called draw. Code written inside the draw function will repeatedly run through at every frame after it's done with setup. The first thing to take note when you write your code is that everything is case sensitive. This means that writing setup in big caps is not the same as writing in small caps. The next thing to know is that you can't interchange symbols. To run your processing app, press the play button above. Right now, our app doesn't do anything just yet. Inside the setup function, we can write print, and then we write 1 plus 2 within the brackets. Next, we put a semicolon to denote the end of an action. When we press play now, we see that processing writes the answer to our math equation in the window below. This window is our debug console. Everything written inside here is not visible in our app. All it does is relay information to the programmer. When you want to make a note that is not actually part of the code, start that line with a double front slash. This tells processing that the line should be ignored. Instead of printing numbers, let's try printing hello world. You'll find an error message appearing in the console. The reason why this happens is because words written this way are considered variable names. To be able to write notes, we're going to have to put double quotes to denote the start and end of a message. This type of data is called a string. We can type almost anything within the quotation marks to make it a string. Having data like this is not very useful since we can manipulate them. To be able to do things to your primary data, we're gonna have to store them somewhere first. We can store data by using something called variables. Our first variable will be called integer a, and we want it to store an integer value 1. We're gonna do this by first saying what kind of data it is. Here, we write int, which means integer numbers. Then we're gonna give it a name integer a, followed by an equal sign which is used to assign values to it. Finally, we're gonna key in the value we want to write to the variable and end the statement with a semicolon. If we print integer a, the assigned value will appear in the console instead of the variable name. Also, notice that our print function has an extra ln in it. This means print line, which tells the app to automatically move to a new line after printing. One of the uses of variables is that we can call them by name, saving us the trouble of having to remember the numbers. We can also progressively change the value of the variable by reassigning new values to it. I will quickly run through some of the other primitive data types you will often encounter. First, we have boolean, which is like an on-off switch that can only hold two possible values, either true or false. Next, we have float, which refers to the numbers with a decimal point. Then we have char, which is a single character, and string, which is a string of chars to make up a message. If we try printing integer a inside the draw function, we will see that the console will repeatedly print out the value as it should. However, if we print integer b instead, our app's gonna fail. This is because when we initialize integer a outside any handlebars, it's considered an external variable which can be used by any other function. On the other hand, when we initialize b within the handlebars of setup, it can only be used within that particular function, and once the app has completely run through the chunk of code from the opening handlebar to the closing handlebar, it simply forgets the variable. This type of variable is called a local variable. And that's all for lesson 1, guys.